Hey there, Joshua Smith with the Home Agent Group. Today we're going to be going over some market reports for the greater Nashville area. I've got Nashville pulled up here in RealTracs right now, so without any delays, let's dive right in and see what we should expect or might expect to see happening in the coming months in the winter 2024. What's up? My name is Joshua Smith. I'm with the Home Agent Group. I want to talk to you about what you're up to and how we can expand together.
I'm going to be honest with you, and you can cut this.
That was the highlight of our entire trip.
Cheers. So full disclosure, I'm just a real estate agent. I don't have a crystal ball and I don't know exactly what's going to happen in the future. But we can take a look at these numbers together. You can decide for yourself what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, especially on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you're seeing this video though, please let me know. All right, first thing we're going to take a look at here under market activity is new listings. This is new inventory coming on the market. I've got the last 3 years pulled up. If we look at just the last 30 days under new listings, you can see that it looks like inventory is kind of gradually coming back down. But if you compare that to, again, these last 3 years, we're actually up from what was happening actually all the way back to 2021. So in November 2021, we were up just a little bit. We're back to where we were in November 2022. Apologies. We have these expected declines toward this time of year in terms of new listings coming on the market. These humps all represent what happens year over year in this part of the country. We just happen to see things slow down quite a bit this time of year normally. But where I am seeing things pick up is if you go to new under contract, it's this red line underneath our inventory line here. New under contract is staying pretty consistent to what we've seen also, but it's quite a bit higher, closer to what we saw in 2021. Now, if you remember 22, 23, this is when rates started to kind of go crazy all last year and all this year. It's been a little bit nuts in terms of what people can expect for these rates that have seemed to skyrocket since the pandemic. But all that said, if you square all this data together, it looks like these lines are moving along nicely. So for sellers, you can expect to actually see a little bit better activity right now than you would have in the last couple of years. Let's look at actual closings, and I'm going to take these other two lines off. Let's just pull up these closings. We saw a big spike of closings earlier this year, and then we saw a big dip. This year, I saw there's a lot of activity and interest. It seemed like at the beginning of the year, it dropped way off. This line is indicative of exactly what it felt like if you were doing real estate in this town, in this market. So as I come over here, I wasn't expecting to see a huge increase of activity necessarily this winter, but to compare these lines over the last couple of years and to see how many more listings actually came up just in these last 30 days, really in the last 2 weeks since the election happened, I've seen a lot more activity effectively. So let's jump over here to the average price per square foot that is sold. So average sale price per square foot. A lot of people are afraid that all of the lack of attention, the lack of activity, and these rates have caused their value to come way down. I'm not necessarily seeing that. I have seen it be more competitive for sellers in this market than I've seen it be for buyers. But now the buyers are coming back in the market, that's gonna balance out a little bit, probably flip going into 2025. So I do think that we're leaning into a little bit more activity, and I have not seen prices come down. There was a huge spike back in December of 2021. That seems like a little bit of a fluke, that just huge spike in data. But if you think back to 2021, this is the end of the pandemic, and we were looking at major increases in our price point. Let me go back 5 years and just take a look there. Yeah, a couple of big spikes. So back in 2019 and in 2021. So you got to remember though, this is price per square foot, so I can't put this on the same chart as the activity, but let's go look at the market activity for closings during that time, December of 2019 and December of 21. Yeah, both really hot winters. If you look at these major decreases, there was a little bit of a bump last year. I do think that we're going to see an uptick this year in terms of closings over the next couple months, so December and then getting into January 2025. But effectively, what we're pointing out here is the price has not necessarily decreased really that much. It's been a relative steady number for the last couple of years. And it has not actually gone down by average in terms of the any Nashville address inside Davidson County. So if we're looking at this, I've got the last 5 years pulled up. This is the months of supply. We've got 6 months, almost 6 months of supply right now on the market. That means that our inventory is really high for this area. And I think it's a great time to be a buyer because we are still on the cusp of, or in that fulcrum, that pivot point between whether this is a buyer or seller's market. I wouldn't label it either way. I think that it's really hard to know what type of market we're in because it was an election year and people get nervous about spending money in election years. It seems like this year has been a lot more so than I've seen in the past in 2019. But all that said, there's a big dip in supply over the last couple of years, which drove prices up. This larger amount of inventory at the moment is indicative of there being enough inventory to meet buyer demand at this point. And what that also means is that, yes, there's still going to be some seller competition leading into these next couple of months because we are seeing more activity, more mortgage applications, more buyers on market looking for property and putting property under contract and closing on property. I think that it's both a good time to be a seller and a buyer. This winter season, I think, is going to be a little bit busier than we've seen, especially in the last 2 years, because of all of those rate increases. And now we've seen a lot more of a stabilization in terms of those rates. So for better, for worse, that's my opinion, is that I think we're going to have a little bit more activity. I think that prices are in a really good place at the moment. I think that if you're a buyer right now, it's a good time to be out there looking to see what people are offering on market in terms of the inventory that's available to us. And if you are a seller, it's also a good time to put your property on the market, because even though you're going to have some seller competition out there with this influx of buyers, that means that you're going to get the potential of having greater activity at this point is better for you. No time like the present, they say, right? All that said, I hope that this video was helpful for you. That's a general market report for November 2024. As numbers come out in the next couple of weeks, I'll probably do another one of these and just update based on closing data that comes in through the Greater Nashville Association of Realtors, and maybe focus on some other wider areas that I work in. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.